Week 4 Chiefs-Broncos matchup between a pair of 1 and 2 teams. Chiefs swept the Broncos last year, which included that Week 17 game where Patrick Mahomes threw for 500 yards in the overtime win. A crucial early season matchup for both teams. Chiefs looking for a quick start in Denver, and it doesn't get any quicker than this. First play from scrimmage, and it's Kareem Hunt who came into the game with 169 yards, and he gets almost half of that on one carry as he takes it 78 yards to the house and gives the Chiefs a quick 7-0 lead. Broncos looking to answer back. It's Trevor Siemian finding Demaryius Thomas for a gain of 16 on 2nd and 20. Next play, Siemian again, this time to Emmanuel Sanders, who takes a shot but hangs on for a gain of 15 and a first down. 3 plays later, it's Siemian again finding Demaryius Thomas, who gets blasted. The ball comes out and there's a bunch of Chiefs there to pick it up, but somehow it's CJ Anderson who falls on it to save the possession. Drive would stall out and Denver would kick a field goal. First play after the field goal and after the big run, Chiefs come out with 3 tight ends, but this time it's a play fake by Mahomes, who finds Travis Kelce over the middle, and he is off to the races. He will end up being tracked down, but not before reaching the 11-yard line and picking up 65 yards on the play. Chiefs offense off to a scorching start. 2 plays later though, it's 3rd and 3. Mahomes gives to Spencer Ware, who gets close to the first down marker but ultimately comes up short. Chiefs would not go for it and instead would settle for a Harrison Butker field goal. Broncos would go 3 and out, so the defense is sputtering, the offense is sputtering, and all that leaves is the special teams, and they kick it to Tyreek Hill, who's able to bring it back 38 yards before being taken out of bounds at the Broncos 46. 2nd and 13 after a holding penalty, and Mahomes is going to get outside the pocket, get around Kerry Hyder Jr. and pick up 18 yards before being thrown down out of bounds by Von Miller. 4 plays later, 2nd and 8, Mahomes finds the league's leading receiver Tyreek Hill on the pivot route for 17 yards down to the 1 to end the first quarter. First play of the second quarter, and the Broncos D stands tall as Shaquille Barrett takes down Kareem Hunt for a 2-yard loss. Next play, Mahomes has Kelce open in the end zone, but it's Todd Davis who goes up and bats it down at the line on 2nd and goal. So on 3rd and goal, the Chiefs go to the air again, and it's Mahomes looking for Kelce, but this time it's Brandon Marshall with the diving pass breakup. So for the 2nd time, the Chiefs get inside the 5 but are forced to settle for a Butker field goal. Ensuing drive, 3rd and 11, Siemian with the play fake and then floats it downfield. Looks like it's overthrown, but then Demaryius Thomas out of nowhere with the spectacular diving catch, gain of 21 yards and a Broncos first down. 3 plays later, again 3rd down, Siemian escapes the pocket to his left and makes a throw that doesn't look humanly possible as he goes across his body on the money to Emmanuel Sanders, who catches it at the 15, makes a spin and takes it down inside the 5-yard line. Next play, it's CJ Anderson who gets in for his first touchdown of the year from 3 yards out. Broncos cut the lead to 13-10. Fast forward to late in the second quarter, Broncos punting again, and you'd think teams would have learned by now to not punt to this man, but again it's Tyreek Hill with a good return, this time for 19 yards, setting up the Chiefs near midfield. First play of the drive, Mahomes with a play fake, and with no safety help over the top, you just can't expect anybody to cover this man one-on-one, and again it's Tyreek Hill with the diving catch inside the 5, and he'd be touched down by Talib at the 1-yard line. Next play, it's Kareem Hunt breaking through the tackle and into the end zone for his 2nd touchdown of the half. Chiefs extend their lead to 20-10. First play of the ensuing drive, Siemian looking to answer back, fires it deep for Demaryius Thomas, but it falls incomplete. However, you saw the contact on the play. Pass interference would be called on Steven Nelson, a 35-yard penalty. Broncos would fail to gain a yard after the penalty, which sets up Brandon McManus from 57 yards, and even into the slight wind, McManus booms it through the mile-high air. Kick is good, and the halftime score would be 20-13 Chiefs. Second play of the third quarter, Siemian on the play fake and again chucks it deep incomplete, but again it's Steven Nelson with too much contact and called this time for a 44-yard pass interference penalty, setting up the Broncos at the Chiefs 32. Then on 2nd and 2, Siemian finds rookie Vaughn Howmiller for 8 yards and a first down as the Broncos enter the red zone. Next play, it's Siemian to Ladarius Green, who bowls his way for 9 yards down to the 6-yard line of Kansas City. Then on 3rd and inches, it's again Siemian to Ladarius Ladarius Green, this time for 4 yards and another Broncos first down. Next play, 1st and goal, Simeon finds Jeff Hireman, but for no gain. 2nd and goal, and it's CJ Anderson for no gain as he stopped by Derek Johnson as the Chiefs continue to hold. And then on 3rd and goal, Broncos try to get tricky, fake to the fullback and pitch it out to CJ Anderson, but the Chiefs are all over it as Eric Berry and Reggie Ragland drop him for a 2-yard loss. Broncos would be forced to settle for another field goal. Ensuing drive, 3rd and 4, Mahomes stands right in the face of Von Miller and delivers it right on time to Albert Wilson for a gain of 17 yards. 2 plays later, again 3rd down, and this time it's Kareem Hunt doing it through the air as he catches the pass over the middle and picks up 15 yards. Chiefs would go backward from there, and on 4th down it's Butker from 53 yards, but it's going to be the rookie out of UCLA, Christoph Boyd, getting in to block the kick. Chiefs would come away with nothing on the drive. Following the block, both teams would trade possessions. Broncos with it now at their own 32, and Simeon floats it deep for Emmanuel Sanders, who was able to reach out and make the leaping catch for a gain of 33 yards into Chiefs territory, his longest catch of the day. 2 plays later, 3rd and 12, and Simeon with all day to throw and puts it right on the money to Demaryius Thomas, but it clanks off his hands, incomplete. Broncos would have been at around the 10-yard line. Instead, they have to settle for yet another field goal. Last play of the 3rd quarter, and it's Mahomes with the play fake and all day to throw before he lofts a bomb deep down the left side to Tyreek Hill, who makes another amazing catch for 39 yards. But then 2 plays later on 3rd and 11, Mahomes hangs on to it for just too long, and it's Todd Davis taking him down for a 9-yard loss, turning what would have been a 48-yard field goal into a 57-yard field goal. But when you've got the butt kicker, you've got a butt kicker. Harrison Butker from 57 yards out, unfazed by the block earlier, and he buries the kick. Later in the 4th, Chiefs back with the ball, looking to put the game away. Mahomes finds Tyreek Hill for 16 yards on the crosser. Another huge day for Tyreek Hill, but 2 plays later on 3rd and 12, it's again Mahomes finding Hill close to the 1st down marker, but short, setting up a 4th and 1, and we thought the Chiefs might go for it here, but they choose to punt, giving Denver the ball back with 5:29 to go. After an incompletion on 1st down, Trevor Siemian with all the time in the world to throw before escaping the pocket to his left, saying go go gadget, bionic arm, and throwing an Aroldis Chapman heater across his body to Emmanuel Sanders for a gain of 24 yards. Next play, Simeon quickly finds CJ Anderson over the middle, who breaks a tackle and pulls defenders down to the Chiefs 40 for a gain of 16 yards. Then on 2nd and 4, Simeon with nowhere to go as the Chiefs bring the blitz, and reserve linebacker Ramik Wilson gets into the backfield and destroys Trevor Simeon for one of their 8 sacks on the day, a loss of 6, forcing a 3rd and 10. But then on the next play, the down that's haunted the Chiefs defense all year, Simeon is able to find Ladarius Green over the middle for a gain of 19 yards and a 1st down to the Chiefs 21. And then right before the 2-minute warning, Simeon finds rookie Von Hallmiller on the quick out, beating Charles Gaines, and Hallmiller turns it up the sideline and walks into the end zone, giving the Broncos a 26-23 lead. So the Chiefs in yet another barn burner for the 3rd consecutive week. First play of the drive, and Mahomes finds Travis Kelce, who makes the tough catch for a gain of 16 yards. Next play, it's a screen to Kareem Hunt for 8 yards near the 1st down marker, but the clock continues to run. 2nd and 2, and Mahomes throws it late outside to Kelce, who's unable to turn it upfield and goes out of bounds right at the marker, but short, setting up a 3rd down. So on 3rd and inches, Mahomes gives it to Kareem Hunt, who's able to get forward and pick up 2 yards and the 1st down to the 45. Chiefs would call their first timeout. Out of the timeout, Mahomes looking and fits it into a tight window to Chris Conley for 8 yards to the 37, and at Mile High, very much within field goal range. Clock continuing to run with 35 seconds to go. Broncos have a free blitzer, and Mahomes floats a perfect ball over the middle to Tyreek Hill, who takes it all the way down to the 15-yard line for a gain of 22. But hold on just a minute. The doctor, Laurent Duvernay-Tardif, committing malpractice on the field, gets called for holding, pushing the Chiefs back to the 47-yard line with 30 seconds to go. But right after the penalty, Broncos bring the blitz again. Mahomes reads it and floats it up to Travis Kelce, who's left in one-on-one coverage with Todd Davis, and he comes down with the huge catch to the 22-yard line with 24 seconds to go. Chiefs call a timeout, now well within field goal range and looking for the win. Out of the timeout, empty set, Mahomes surveys, steps up past the rushing Shaquille Barrett, and has plenty of room to run, and is able to take it down to the Broncos 8-yard line and gets out out of bounds with 17 seconds to go. And then next play, it's Mahomes with the play fake. Von Miller unblocked off the edge, but Mahomes stands in and hits Travis Kelce at the goal line, who backs his way into the end zone for a touchdown with 14 seconds left on the clock. And for the second straight week, Mahomes' magic is on display as the Chiefs go 72 yards in 8 plays and 1 minute and 42 seconds to steal the win from the Broncos and beat them for the 6th consecutive time and drop them to 1-3. Meanwhile, the Chiefs move to 2-2 and for the 3rd straight week are put in a position on their last drive of the game to either tie or win the game, and all 3 weeks have come up clutch. Mahomes throws for 329 yards and the game-winning score. Kareem Hunt adds 2 of his own, and just a devastating loss for the Broncos. And after starting 0-2, the Chiefs have now won back-to-back games, and this powerful offense will be tested next week when they continue their 3-game road trip before their bye when they travel to Jacksonville. Alright guys, so yet another crazy game, and we were able to pull out the win. Lots of drama early on in the season so far, and like I said in the last video, this is pretty much how my last season played out as well. 11 of the 16 games I played were 1-score games last season, and every game so far has been a 1-score game this year. I'm hoping that one of these weeks I can get into a game where I can just kind of coast to a win, and I've been in a position to do so the last couple games, but haven't capitalized when I needed to, and ended up being behind at the end both times. It's going to be interesting to see how the Jags game goes because I think they've got a pretty stacked roster, but before we check that out, we're going to get into some scouting real quick, and we're going to go back to the corners where outside of Brian Ford, who's the top corner on the board, we haven't really found anything else that looks great or worthy of drafting. I'm going to finish scouting Miles Hughes here and then take a look at some of these prototype guys, but again, it just seems like as far as corners goes, it appears to be a pretty weak class outside of that one top guy. So we'll take a look at Pedro Beckham and Antoine Maxwell here, and again, nothing special at all. So what we're going to do now is head over to defensive tackles, and I wanted to take a peek at nose tackles here with Rellis Ball, who's 6'7", 333 pounds, and has good pursuit, but looks more of like a space eater rather than a playmaker. And then there's nothing really left as far as nose tackles go. So with 80 points left, we're going to go back to wide receivers, which is what we scouted last week, and finish scouting Curtis Justice here. And again, we're looking for receivers with some size and speed out of that Sammy Watkins mold to pair with Tyreek Hill. So we'll take a look at Willis Richardson, who looks really good attributes-wise, but he's an undrafted true talent. So my guess is his combine numbers are really weak, but we'll throw him on the draft board, and then we'll take a look at Rashad Golden here, who is another undrafted true talent. And then with 15 points left, we'll spend that on Cordero Turner. So now we're going to take a look at the Jags roster real quick. Blake Bortles at quarterback with Kaepernick as the backup. Fournette at running back with Ivory and Yeldon backing him up, so a nice trio there. Allen Robertson, Allen Hurns, and Marquise Lee, who is actually out for this game at wide receiver. Trey Burton and former Chief James O'Shaughnessy at tight end. Their O-line doesn't look too bad, but Jeremy Parnell at right tackle against Justin Houston should be a problem for them. Their defensive line is pretty insane here with Ngakoue at left end and Campbell at right end, and then Marcel Darius and Malik Jackson at defensive tackle, so that could be a big problem for me. Their linebackers aren't that strong. They do have Miles Jack, but they're weak at middle linebacker, and then their star Telvin Smith is out for one more week with a dislocated knee, so he won't play against us. At corner, they have a couple of studs with Ramsey and Bouye, and then a super speedy nickel with Jalen Myrick as well. Good safeties with Tashawn Gibson and Barry Church, so their defense is pretty damn stacked and should pose an interesting test for our offense. And then one last thing here is Shelby Harris will be returning from injury, so he'll be back in the lineup. But with that, let's get into some news from around my franchise. As we take a look at Week 4 action, the Ravens fell to 0-4, losing to the Panthers on Thursday night. The 0-3 Giants put up a fight, but ultimately it was the Falcons remaining undefeated with the 20-13 win. Steelers eke out a close one at home against the Raiders. We mentioned the Bills and Bears being another 3-0 versus 0-3 matchup in the last video, and in the surprise of the week, that game ends in a 2020 tie. The Lions get a huge divisional win, taking down the Packers 34-14. Jacksonville moves to 3-1, while the Texans go to Miami and destroy the Dolphins. Cowboys drop the Cardinals to 0-4, while the Rams move to 3-1 with a big win over the Niners. Browns take down Sam Bradford and the Jets, and the Patriots and Tom Brady fall to 1-3 on the season after a 35-3 drubbing at the hands of the Vikings on Sunday night. And then rounding out the week, the Seahawks remain undefeated with a 29-23 OT win over the Eagles. So as we transition to the league standings, as we mentioned before, the Patriots find themselves in unfamiliar territory in last place in the AFC East at 1-3, while the Bills remain undefeated and lead the way despite their tie with Chicago. Steelers, Bengals, and Browns all tied at 2-2 atop the North. Texans and Jaguars both 3-1 leading the South, while the Colts were idle and remained 2-1. Chargers also had a bye and remain atop the West, with the Raiders and Broncos in the basement early on. Eagles and Cowboys lead the NFC East with 2-2 records. The Lions win over the Packers gives them sole control of the North. The NFC South looks to be the league's strongest division through the first quarter of the season, with the Falcons at 4-0 and the Panthers and Saints both sitting at 3-1. The Seahawks lead the West with their 3-0-1 record, while the Rams have now won 3 straight games to move to 3-1 after their opening day loss to the Falcons. Taking home this week's AFC Offensive Player of the Week award is Texans quarterback Deshaun Watson, who led Houston into Miami for a 41-6 drubbing of the Dolphins. Watson finished the day with only 269 yards passing, but 4 touchdowns to no interceptions on 23 completions out of 34 attempts. To the defensive side, last week it was A.J. Molden, and this week it's Darren Mayer as a Bills rookie defender takes home the award for the second consecutive week. Mayer had 9 tackles, 3 sacks, and added both a tackle for loss and a pass breakup in the Bills' 2020 tie with Chicago this week. Mayer was the Bills' first-round pick, selected 23rd overall out of Miami. As for the NFC side, the offensive award goes to Todd Gurley, who was a huge part of the Rams' big win in San Francisco this week, while scoring once on the ground and twice through the air as the Rams handed the 49ers a 42-28 defeat. The NFC's Defensive Player of the Week also came from the Chicago-Buffalo tie, as linebacker Gerald Freeman takes home the award. He was responsible for 5 solo tackles, 1 sack, and made 2 interceptions on the day. Freeman is now in his 8th season after going undrafted out of the University of Mary Hardin Baylor. Shifting to league leaders, Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes threw for 329 yards and maintains his league lead with 1,357 yards through 4 weeks. Carson Wentz jumps all the way to second after throwing for 385 yards on Monday night against the Seahawks. Lane Laribus, Tom Brady, and Matthew Stafford make up the rest of the top 5. Matt Ryan only threw 1 touchdown this week, but it was all the Falcons needed to move to 4-0. Deshaun Watson enters the picture after his 4 TD performance, tied with Aaron Rodgers for second, while Lane Laribus and Tom Brady are among many tied with 8 passing touchdowns. After another big week, NFC Offensive Player of the Week Todd Gurley leads the way with 464 yards rushing, while Devontae Freeman and Ezekiel Elliott crack the top 5 in second and fourth respectively, with Isaiah Crowell only 3 yards behind Elliott at 5th. Chris Carson added another touchdown this week to push his season total to 6, while secondary backs Tevin Coleman and Mike Gillislee are tied for second with 5 each, and then LaShawn McCoy and Orleans Darkwa round out the top 5 among many tied with 4 rushing touchdowns. After 4 weeks, Tyreek Hill is on pace for a record-shattering 2,284 yards receiving this year and has over 100 yards receiving in all 4 games. Shelton Gibson jumps from 5 to 2 this week with 370 yards on the season, while the Vikings feature a pair of players in the top 5 with Adam Thielen and Quincy Enunwa. Receiving touchdown sees Josh Gordon now tied at the top with Jags receiver Allen Robinson, who we'll be seeing this week. The rest of the top 5 remains unchanged, with Mike Evans, Julio Jones, and Jimmy Graham among many players tied with 4 touchdowns. To the defensive side of the ball, Adrian Claiborne tallied 4.5 of the Falcons' 9 sacks to propel him into a tie for the league lead with our very own Justin Houston. Myles Garrett with 6.5, Brandon Graham and Carl Lawson both with 6 make up the rest of the top 5. Jason Verrett added another interception this week against the Dolphins to give him 4 on the season and give him sole possession of the league lead, while Tavon Young and DJ Swearinger now fall to second, tied with 3, while Quentin Dunbar and Kendall Fuller remain behind among many, tied with 2. As we take a look at the week ahead, we have the Ravens playing on Thursday night for a second consecutive week, this time against the Bengals. The Saints go to New York to take on the 0-4 Giants. Dallas travels to Tampa Bay. Miami goes to Chicago to face the winless Bears. Jets look to get back on track at the 3-1 Lions. Indy goes to Buffalo in an old AFC East matchup. Washington hopes to save their season in Carolina. We travel to Jacksonville looking for a big road win against the Jaguars. Broncos Raiders in a game where someone's season will likely end with a loss. Pair of NFC West matchups with the Rams taking on the 0-4 Cardinals and the 49ers looking to stay in the division hunt hosting the Seahawks. Steelers face the Chargers on Sunday night, while the week caps off with an NFC North matchup between the Packers and Vikings. That's going to do it here though. Hope you guys enjoyed another week of this Chiefs franchise. Big game coming up next against the Jags that could have potential playoff implications down the line. Hope to see you guys back for that, but until then, thanks for watching.